What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Fast. Today, let's get started with Darren Till eyes boxing fights with Jorge Masvidal and another ex-UFC rival in 2026. Former UFC title challenger Darren Till is looking to re-engage some of his past rivalries. Till has taken up boxing since his UFC departure and has had a lot of success, as he's become the Misfits Bridgerweight champion. He won the inaugural belt with a KO win over Luke Rockhold, which was a statement win for Till. Now heading into 2026, Darren Till is looking to get big fights and renew rivalries. I'd love my rematch with Masvidal. I'd love to knock him out because he knocked me out, and then we could probably go for the trilogy. It's the same with Woodley. He submitted me. So I'd love them 2 fights, but then Nate Diaz is also available. He's probably the biggest fight out of the 3. I'd love that. Let's see where it goes, because I'd love the Nate fight as well. A boxing match between Till and Masvidal would likely draw well as a rematch with Woodley. Till lost both of those fights in the UFC, so he's looking to get back on track. Woodley is also in boxing as he's set to take on Anderson Silva on Friday on the Jake Paul Anthony Joshua undercard. So perhaps if Woodley wins, he could rematch Till in boxing for his Misfits belt. But Till prefers the Masvidal rematch first, which would lead to a trilogy, as it would be a big payday for both of them. Dricus du Plessis gets honest about state of UFC middleweight division, shares ideal return timeline. Dricus du Plessis recently shared his thoughts on the current state of the UFC middleweight division, questioning the consistency of the fighters. Dricus also shared a potential timeline for his return to action. Chimaev beat du Plessis via a dominant unanimous decision at UFC 319 in August and took home the 185-pound championship. Later, Nasruddin Imavov beat Caio Borralho at UFC Paris in September and called for a title shot against Chimaev, which the Chechen-born fighter accepted. In a recent interview with Fight Forecast, du Plessis shared a bold prediction for the Chimaev-Imavov clash and shared his thoughts on the 185-pound division. Imavov is getting the title shot. I think that's the only thing that really makes sense now. I think it's going to be an interesting fight. I think Khamzat wins that fight. For sure, the whole division has been mixed up. Right now, you don't have anybody who's consistently winning. That's the problem. How do you pick a contender if you have guys that fight 2 great fights and 1 terrible one? The consistency isn't there. Speaking about when fans could see him in action again, du Plessis said, "I spoke to the UFC. First quarter of next year would be good. End of March, beginning of April, perfect." Former UFC champ gets honest about Islam Makhachev potentially facing Kamaru Usman next. Former UFC welterweight king Belal Muhammad recently shared his honest thoughts on Islam Makhachev potentially facing Kamaru Usman next. Muhammad claimed that Makhachev and his manager, Ali Abdelaziz, were seeking to book a fight against an easy opponent. Makhachev beat Jack Della Maddalena via unanimous decision at UFC 322 in November and became the new welterweight champion. In the aftermath, Kamaru expressed his keen interest in being Makhachev's first title defense and called out the Dagestani grappling savant. However, many believe other contenders like Michael Morales, Ian Machado Gary, Shavkat Rakhmonov, and Carlos Prates should be considered before Usman. Who do I think deserves a title shot? Who do I think has earned it? I think Michael Morales for sure has earned it. But we see the seeds planted. We see Islam planting the seeds of Usman being the next guy. Obviously, they have the same manager. Do I think Usman is an easier matchup for him? Of course. I'm still ahead of you. Alex Pereira shares disappointing update on potential fight at the White House. It sounds like a potential showdown between UFC light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira and Jon Jones at the White House has hit a dead end. After his victory at UFC 320, Pereira has repeatedly called out former UFC 2-division champion Jon Jones for a clash at the White House next summer. Jones announced his retirement in June before recently reversing course as he eyes a potential slot on the June White House card. Pereira and Jones are undoubtedly 2 of the greatest light heavyweights of all time, and even though a fight would likely take place at heavyweight, it would be a massive headliner. But according to Pereira, his request to face Jones at the White House has been vehemently denied by the matchmakers. In a recent Instagram post featuring a photo of himself and UFC CEO Dana White, Pereira shared a disappointing update on his desire to fight on the unprecedented card. Looks like the White House is a no-go. Since Jones's retirement, White has repeatedly shut down any chance of Jones returning to fight at the White House due to trust issues stemming from his abrupt retirement. Jones has since apologized publicly to White in hopes of potentially changing the UFC headman's mind, but White remains unchanged in his stance. Meanwhile, UFC superstar Conor McGregor is a likely option for the White House card opposite Michael Chandler. Tom Aspinall opened to boxing Francis Ngannou, but has UFC fights first. UFC heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall still has boxing in his sights. Aspinall's father, Andy, was recently heard on camera expressing his desire for his son to earn a big payday in boxing. During a training session with boxer Tommy Fury, Aspinall was asked about the possibility of lacing up the gloves, which interests the UFC champion. However, Aspinall isn't talking about facing the sport's established names. He liked Fury's suggestion of Francis Ngannou, who boxed both Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. "I'd never be a world champ. I wouldn't try and be a world champion. You need to dedicate your whole life, don't you? I spent my whole life doing MMA now. For me to be like 33 and then think that I'm going to win a world title in boxing, it's unrealistic. I wouldn't mind boxing an MMA fighter. You know what I mean? Francis, yeah, I think that would be good. I like it. I mean, I've got fights in the UFC to do first." Arman Tsarukyan reveals what he'd like to do after his MMA career ends. Arman Tsarukyan has spoken about what he would like to do once his mixed martial arts career comes to an end. Right now, Arman is in a tricky spot. Despite demolishing Dan in their UFC Qatar main event, Arman didn't get the call to be part of the UFC 324 main event for the interim UFC lightweight championship. Arman, meanwhile, is on the outside looking in, with Dana White making it perfectly clear that he isn't in the promotion's good books right now. "No, I won't stop training after my career. I'm going to take up triathlon. Well, I'm very good at riding a bicycle and I swim well. Just add running and you'll be traveling the world. There are competitions. The communities are diverse. You meet different people and it's such an interesting hobby." Justin Gaethje says UFC 324 marks last chance. Justin Gaethje knows this is the final opportunity to make a run and achieve his championship dreams. On Monday, Gaethje got introspective in a video published to his YouTube channel, in which he expressed his thoughts on his upcoming bout versus Paddy Pimblett at UFC 324. Gaethje said he's not disillusioned. He knows this is probably his last chance to try to obtain UFC gold. "I'm very excited for this opportunity. This is my last chance. This opportunity to finish my career off the way that I want to is everything that I could ask for. I'll fight Paddy for the interim championship. If I win that, I'll get to fight Ilya. Ilya right now is the baddest man in my division, and some consider across the board. What an opportunity to finish this career off exactly how I've fought the whole time. One of the consensus most exciting fighters in the sport's history, Justin has fought more strategic in recent outings. He plans to do that once again January 20th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. It's impossible to be perfect the entire time, so the challenge right now is for me to be perfect for 25 minutes in 7 weeks from now. I've gone through a lot of experiences, and I've learned a lot of things, and I know how to do that. Now, I've just got to trust my intuition and my body to put me in that position. Ultimately, the preparation is going to give me the confidence to fight the best that I can. I'm planning on fighting perfect, and when I fight perfect, I think you have to get lucky to beat me. But the challenge is still ahead. I have to be perfect that night to knock Paddy out and earn my title shot on the White House card. That's the plan. I think if I can do that, that's the best way that I can ever imagine finishing off my career.